I've been involved with barbecue, man, since I was a little boy, helping my daddy with his pit, cleaning everything out, lighting his fires.
I don't have like these cool barbecue stories. You know, I'm kind of like Kirby. You know, when I was growing up, it was like the grill came out on the 4th of July, Memorial Day. So like that was like the happiest days of like childhood right there. And I was just like, I think from that, I was like, well, I can't get more of this.
Back to it. Why ain't we controlling this? Because we started it, right? So we got to speak our truths. And and that's how I got in the game. And I found Jeff, and we hooked up a few times, and it's been history ever since, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Black Smoke Barbecue podcast. My name is Charlie Maverick from Maverick Barbecue, and in the famous words of Steve Harvey, we got a good one for you tonight. Yeah, so we got a great guest from YouTube. Oh man, this guy is one of the first people that I binge watched to learn how to use my Weber kettle. Oh man, he has shown tips and techniques on how to do Texas barbecue with the briskets and many plethora of grills. He is a man of soft-spoken nature, but he has a gentle face. Oh, I'm talking him up a little bit right now. Hold on a little bit. We're going to be introducing you to, on this podcast, Mr. Alton Matthews from Dogfather's Barbecue. And before we get to this guest, let me introduce you to the rest of the guys on the pod with me. First, to my left, it is Jeffrey from Outdoors with Jeff. How you doing, my man?
What's going on, Charlie? How you doing?
Pretty good. What you been up to lately?
Just getting some cooks in, man, and getting some content out there. Getting ready for the holidays too, brother.
Oh man, I feel in the spirit of the holidays because I saw that pie that you put out. I like that. Pretty good. Thank you, sir, for that. To my right is Brandon from BKC Cooks. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm magnificent. I'm damn near spectacular, Charlie.
I like to hear that. I love to hear that. Oh man, I love your videos, by the way, man. Love the style. I love the cabbage video that you had out recently. Oh man.
Hey, blame Eddie Wright for that cabbage. It was a wonderful thing, man.
Perfect segue, Mr. Eddie Wright from Eddie Wright Barbecue. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, Charlie. I need you to bottle up some of that energy you got to send it on down south, sir. I could most definitely use about a 6-pack of it.
You know what? Speaking of balling up, man, that rub, I just got in the mail.
Hey.
Ready, sweet Charlie.
Glad to hear it.
Nice to have you on the pod, my man. And T from T-Dubb Barbecue. How you doing, T?
What's happening, man? Everything is good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. That macaroni?
Oh, yeah.
So all that I mentioned, check out everybody's channel and see their cooks. Now, let's get to the man of the hour, Mr. Alton Matthews from Dogfather's Barbecue. How are you doing?
Man, what's cracking? Hey, all I know is, man, you came in with the whole, got me over here head nodding and all that, man, got me hype. I like the intro, loving it. And man, I'm doing fantastic, dude. I'm enjoying hanging out with you guys tonight. Thank you for having me on.
Oh man, it's an honor. First of all. So I mentioned I binge watch you a lot on YouTube. Remember, I got my Weber kettle. I was like, how am I going to use this thing? How am I going to learn the temp control and do the little tips and tricks? And I saw a black man on YouTube inspire the algorithm. And I stuck there. I was like, oh, I'm going to watch all this. All of it. Yes, I did. And man, it's surreal having you on the show, just talking to you, because I've been watching your channel for so long. So it's a real honor. Now, a lot of people out there maybe haven't come across your channel because they've been hiding under a rock somewhere. I don't know. They've been home for a long time because of COVID. No excuse. But for those that don't know you, I want to give you a chance to tell people more about yourself. How did you come up with the channel? How did you start out with barbecue? And how do you got so much finesse on the camera?
Hey, you got to fake it till you make it, right? But no, man, as far as the YouTube channel thing goes, I've been doing barbecue and all that obviously way before, but my wife and one of my buddies, I call him the official photographer of the Dogfather's Barbecue YouTube channel, Federico A. They convinced me to go ahead and start it up. I started actually doing barbecue catering and things of that nature. Went through some different work transitions and stuff like that, and got into where I was just basically doing catering for people for weekend barbecue type thing. And then we got hit with COVID, and I kind of shut it down because you just don't kind of want to deal with stuff like that.
Yep.
And man, we started the channel. What was it? It was actually December of 2018.
Yep.
And I just kind of floundered around, played around with it or whatever for a year, whatever, and then took it seriously once, like I said, COVID hit. And so that's when we kind of revamped things and started looking at how we put stuff on YouTube and how the algorithm works, and like really got into the meat and potatoes of how things work. And man, the rest is history. It just took off from there. So that's how we got started with the YouTube channel.
So you're from Texas, right? Or you just live in Texas?
Well, you know what? It's kind of hard because I'm originally from Virginia.
Oh,
I've been in Texas pretty much my entire life. I was a military brat. So, yeah.
Man, so you do a lot of Texas barbecue. Is that your go-to? That's your favorite? Got a little love for any other region of barbecue, or you sticking with that?
Man, I love it all. I don't discriminate. But the salt and pepper is my thing. People often tell me when I make brisket for them and things of that nature, they're like, dude, what all did you put on here? I'm like, salt, pepper, and a post oak, and that's it. Nah, man, you did something else. And I'm like, nah, that's really it. I kind of, it's funny we're talking about this because I actually was just, replying back to one of my viewers that, we had a little conversation going, and he was saying how he needs a lot more than just salt and pepper. On the meat, he's got to have these flavors. And I told him, I said, well, with me, it's one of those things where I want to taste the meat. I don't want to taste the stuff you put on the meat. I want to taste the meat. I'm not really into the sweet meat thing, too much anyway. So, I like to stick with the salt and pepper and, Central Texas, because there's many regions around Texas, which a lot of people don't understand. Mm-hmm. They just think salt and pepper means all of Texas, and it's absolutely not. But Central Texas is about that salt and pepper. Give us that kosher salt, give us that 16 mesh ground black pepper, mm-hmm. and give us some wood, man, and we gonna make some magic happen. And that's where it comes from.
So, how did you get into barbecue? Were you a young lad, or were you a seasoned adult and you just fell into it?
So, I mean, much like you guys, man, we start young on the grill. Mom's in there putting her seasonings and stuff together on the meat while Pops is out there firing up the grill, and I'm tagging along, getting to see both sides of it. And, of course, my duty was cleaning the grill afterwards at the beginning. You got to pay your dues, right?
Definitely.
But no, that's how it started, man, was just doing those little backyard grill sessions with Pops, and then doing the big 4th of July where we got all family and friends coming out, and we cook a bunch of food for a bunch of people, and man, it's just one of those passions that it started there, and then once I moved out on my own, took it to the next level, and I just kept going with it.
When did you know that you were good at barbecue?
I had a feeling I was pretty good at it, just because people eating your food and everything. But again, right. When you got friends and whatever eating free barbecue, they will tell you whatever. You know what I mean? So, and people say, oh, when you got people that are willing to pay for your food, that's when you know. And I agree with that to an extent. But where I think it really solidified for me to know was we had a neighbor who has a son, and his wife was vegetarian. Mm-hmm. And I actually converted her to eating ribs.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So yeah, once she back then I was doing my signature at the time. I used to do a jalapeno jerk baby back rib. And so I
Say
did that,
again.
and yeah, she went to work on
Oh, that sounds good.
it.
You got a recipe for this? It sounds great.
Oh man, that's what I haven't done in years. But yeah, it's one of those where you get that rack of ribs and you marinate it in pineapple juice and cilantro and onions and jalapenos and all of that for about a day or so, and then putting together your own rub that's got about 13 different ingredients in it.
Oh,
So I've kind of simplified things now, but I was back in my days where I was like a mad scientist in the lab.
oh man, that's great. And when did you start the catering?
That was back in 2007. Started my LLC,
Okay.
the Dogfather's Barbecue LLC. Started 2007, and was doing on-site barbecue catering around the Austin area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So now we have you in this capacity of your YouTube. I'm gonna call you a star because we're gonna speak that, because you are. I don't binge watch anybody, and you got a pretty good handle over on IG. I don't venture over to TikTok, so we want to know a little bit more from the content creation side of.
Okay.
We want to dig into your brain a little bit. So I'm gonna throw it to Eddie right over here, and he's gonna kind of chop it up with you about that.
Okay.
So, I guess one of the key things I like to talk about in regards to the content creation is making sure your impact is felt, and the way you do that, and what was not necessarily the trick to getting found and staying found, but what was one of the things that kind of put you kind of over the top in your area.
Okay. So, as I said, I was doing videos. I was making content for about a year or so, not really knowing what I was doing, just making content because I'd been told, just make content, just put it out there, just keep doing it. People will see it. Well, I did that. I noticed that whenever I would release a video or do a live stream or even a premiere, it would be that same core group of people, that would show up. And I'm like, okay, how do I get outside of this? How do I get the people that are out there that don't know who I am? How do I get to them? So that became my focus. Okay. And so I remember it very well. We had, it was February of 2020. We had a big YouTuber meetup here at Barbecue Boulevard. Had people from California, from Maryland, all parts in between, came out, all good friends of mine, and we talked about a lot of different things. And I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna step away from YouTube for a minute because I want to figure out how do I do this thing right? Because I'm making content. I think I'm making content that's decent enough to get out for people to see, but they're not seeing it. So started digging into YouTube and learning the analytics. How do the analytics work? There's got to be more than just, uploading a video and making it public. How do you put it on, and how do you make the tags work, and how do you do the descriptions and titles and all of this stuff? And so that became the focus of the research and finding out how to do this YouTube game. So started learning some things about that, started to figure out, okay, now I think I have a handle on how to put it back on YouTube. But how do I do the videos? We've all seen videos that go for ever and a day, and you're watching and you're like, okay, I don't really understand what all's going on, or it's lost me because it's not flowing well, those types of things. And so I kind of learned, okay, make the video like I want to see it. If I can sit there and watch a video because of the way it flows or whatever, then okay, that's probably how I need to start making the content. And so that became the focus. So that's what I did. I started to try and put together all of these different little aspects and pieces of what I had researched, and then we relaunched. And so to answer your question, Eddie, what really kind of put it over the top was, again, all of these pieces I put together, put it in the video, which happened to be the main Brisket video that's got over 3.5 million views on it now.
That one.
So I put that video out there, and like I said, all of the different pieces and tips and tricks and stuff that I learned, yeah, that one right there.
Mm-hmm.
once I put it together, it started gaining traction. Now, it didn't do it just immediately once it was released. This video took about 3.5 weeks, almost a month, before it gained a little traction. And then what happened was I got an email, and it was from YouTube, and I thought it was, some spam, whatever. And so I deleted it. So I'm back on Barbecue Boulevard this day. I'm filming. I got a little break in the action. I got on my channel, and I started seeing, at the time when I started this, I had about 2,200 subs. That particular day, I went, I know this is going to sound crazy, I went from 2,200 subs to over 12,000 subs. Ooh. And I couldn't figure out what was happening. I'm like, wait, what? So I'm talking to my wife. He says, hey, remember you got that deal from YouTube? And I said, oh, yeah, let me go back and look at this. So I went to go look at it. And what happened was YouTube actually had looked at the channel. They saw the content or whatever, and they chose me to be one of their, what they called content creator on the rise. They profiled the channel on their homepage. So when I got the email, I thought it was, this little, I'm a little old YouTuber, why would they pick me of all the, whatever. So I deleted it. Well, like I said, once I read that, I went to their homepage, and bam, right across the middle of their homepage, I saw the Dogfather's Barbecue YouTube channel. And so when that happened, through the roof it went. We got almost 100,000 subs in a year. And so, and I tell people, and I don't say this to brag, boast, or anything like that, because dude, this was just all pure luck, and it was, fortunate. But I tell people, my story is not the norm. A lot of people grind at this. One of my good friends, he's been grinding at YouTube for years, and he still has not hit 100,000. He's at 94,000. He's knocking on the door, But I remember not having hardly any subs, and he had 50,000 subs and 60, and I blew past him. And I mean, it's just one of those things where it's a lot of luck, involved, and then you have to back it up and try to keep people's attention. So that's how it kind of happened for me.
When that happened, was there anything different that you adopted, or did you just decide to keep doing what you were doing and the ball kept rolling?
No, there was various things. So one of the things that I had to learn, and I tell people all the time, is you have to understand your YouTube channel is not your YouTube channel. It belongs to your viewers. You have to give your viewers what they want to see, not what you want to do. I spent that first year trying to do what I wanted to do. And my thing is, I'm a stick burner by heart. I love to get out there and burn my wood splits, and all that, and tinker with the fire and live fire cooking. I love that. That's not what they wanted to see on my channel, though, because the video that I put out there with that brisket video was done on a Yoder YS640 pellet grill, and now they want to see me cook on pellet grills. And then I followed up with, the beginner's ribs on the Weber kettle.
Yes, sir.
And they want to see the Weber kettle. So it became the Weber kettle and the pellet, cooker. Oh, that's the Dogfather's channel. He's known for pellet grills and Weber kettles, and brisket. And that's what we want to see from you.
I kept coming back, man. I did. It worked.
But that's how it happened, and it's like, okay, once I understood, okay, this is what they want to see from me, so this is what I have to give them. If it's telling me turn left, stop fighting it by turning right. And that's the best way that I put it, because I hear a lot of people say, well, if this is the trend, if everybody and their brother is making brisket sliders, I'm going to go make, well, okay, that's cool and that's your prerogative. But if there's a billion searches going on for this topic right here, why would you make something over there that nobody's looking for?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I have a video I was talking to you about when I was over on the boulevard. I have this tilapia video that does really well. It's not my favorite video in the world, but it does what it does. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for it. But is it hard to keep doing something that you necessarily wouldn't do to feed that beast?
It is, man. I look at it in this sense, and this is also when I get into conversation with people about channel growth and things of that nature. And I ask, okay, you have to identify what your channel is. Okay. Is your channel education or is your channel entertainment? You know, once you understand what your channel is, okay, now you can develop a direction of how you want to go and do it. Okay. Now, being repetitive is what it is. Because for me, it was brisket. For you, it might be tilapia. You know, it's hard in the sense that I feel like I'm being stifled. Yeah. You know what I mean? What I know I can do, I feel like I can't show what I can do because, man, you want to see another brisket video. In your case, you want to see another tilapia video. But if that's what you're looking for to grow the channel, you got to do what you got to do. Give them what they ask for because you're trying to grow. If you don't care about the growth and you just want to do your own thing and make what you want to make, do what you want to do. It's, you know, at the end of the day, it's your channel. But if you want to grow it, you got to give the people what they want to see.
Does it make it less fun?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. And what makes it less fun for me is never the cooks.
Okay.
Okay. I love cooking. I love cooking. I love trying different things. I love to, you know, to a degree, not make the same thing twice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like to play around. Where it takes away the fun is when you are a one-man operation and you got to do the filming and you got to do the editing
and you got to do the voiceover.
Yeah, you got to do all of these different
part-time
parts.
job.
Because I mean, honestly, and you guys are content creators, and I'm sure you understand this. You can actually go out. Let's just say you're not filming. You're just hanging out with the fellas or enjoying the family or whatever. Fire up the grill, get your steak on or whatever. Have a couple of brews, whatever it is you're gonna do. Drink your bourbon, do that cook, and everything is done. It's fast, it's simple, and you love it.
Yep.
Now, let's film it. Okay, dang. Now I'm gonna get the camera. Yeah, you know. Yeah. And so it just takes that fun time. It makes it. In fact, I was at my eye doctor today, and one of the girls was like, "Hey, you're that YouTuber guy, you know?" And I'm like, "You know, yeah." And so yeah, they told me you do YouTube and this and that and the other. And she's like, "So, what's the hardest part?" And I'm like, "Being a one-man show,
Yeah,
you know, and having to take care of all these different parts."
I cannot,
you know, and do them on your own.
To hire a content creation team. Like, I cannot wait. Like, it's gonna be minimum pay for right now, but boy, I cannot wait to get two people and just sit them in front of a laptop and be like, "All right, here's my footage. Go crazy."
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. One of the things that I think that, and I can't remember who it was. I was just having a conversation about this. I think last week. And what it was is I was like, okay, understand what you're doing. Again, you're not making an entertainment video. You're making educational. I was that dude that was, I'm going to get the gimbals. I get one for my cell phone, get one for my camera. I'm going to have this lighting. I'm going to have this, you know, all of these different things. And for what? You know, you're doing, when you're cooking, put the camera on the food, get your face out of the camera, put the camera on the food. And when you do those types of things, it really does make the editing a lot easier.
Yep.
You know, you're not having to do all these tips. I remember, man, Weber Kettle, I'm like making chicken wings, and this is early on in the beginning. And I got to do this whole speed ramp, and I'm slowly coming up to the Weber Kettle vent, and then we're gonna warp zoom inside, and now we're inside the Weber Kettle looking at the chicken wings, and
It was
we're
dope,
gonna,
though.
it came out cool. It came out cool. But those types of things, when you're doing all these different things like that, man, it does lengthen that editing process.
Mm-hmm.
So once you figure out your template, so to speak, once you figure that out and you get your style and you know how you want to do, I can actually have a video completely edited and ready to go in about 2 hours.
With or without alcohol?
The funny thing is, man, I don't drink a lot. It is Federico and all the fellas come over and they make all these jokes because they're like, dude, I thought we drank that bottle. And I'm like, nah, bro, I haven't touched it. It's been here since y'all was here last time, So I don't really, when I get on doing something like this, I might grab a little treaty oak bourbon or rum or whatever and chill. But nah, I can't do that while I'm doing editing and doing work, man, because then I burn up some food real quick.
Yep.
Right. So I will take what you said and expand on it a little bit further. As far as one of the difficult things as far as working with content and giving people what they want. To take that a step further is not receiving the brand recognition that you are feeding that content through. For me, it was Green Mountain Grills.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, I had no idea. And when I started, like you said, look at the analytics, I was noticing all of my Green Mountain Grill videos are pumping numbers. But I could get nothing from the company as far as recognition, a free poster, hell, a t-shirt, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are mounds of people that are in comments, asking questions, commenting about it. And it makes you not want to even participate anymore because the brand doesn't recognize you. When on the back end, you're giving the brand life amongst your constituents. And now here they are, Green Mountain Grills going away, and they're reintroducing it as RIPT Grills, ripped. And I'm just on the fence, like, do I even want to buy one of these? Because I know it's going to be great content and people are going to want to see it because it's a wood chip smoker, but it's like, y'all are not going to give me anything for that. Y'all not going to honor me any type of way. You'll find somebody else along the channel chain and be like, hey, we like him better for whatever reason. And go with him. And he most definitely won't look like you.
Right. Right. Wow. Have you actually gotten into conversation with Green Mountain?
I've called Green Mountain several times from when I had to get parts. And they were like, yeah, we've seen your videos on YouTube. Of course, these are the guys in the back, not the owners.
Right.
But, they know I exist. They know what I've done. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe because they've been in litigation with Traeger for so long that it just pretty much wore them out. But at the same time, the major distributor where I am, Grills of Mississippi, like they have pumped out so many of these pellet grills by their brand. It's insane. And it's because it's a damn good grill. But at the same time, you have people like myself, like their crew, and you have other content creators who back that up by showing how awesome of a product that is. And when the rubber meets the road, the only people y'all recognize, again, are people who 9 times out of 10 don't look like us. 9 times out of 10, not all the time. And then on the content side, there's nothing else going on for it. And we're breathing all the life into it on the internet.
Right, right. Well, one thing that I'll say, and again, take it with a grain of salt because I'm not going to say what happened with me is the norm or anything like that. But what I've done is one, I think we all understand, and I think you alluded to it, the people in the back and the social media people are 2 different departments, right? Whenever I was, wanting to work with a specific company or what have you, one of the first channels that I would do is I would go through Instagram because everybody's trying to use Instagram now. A lot of these companies are, on Instagram. And so I would reach out to these companies through Instagram, direct message, introduce myself, give them a link to my, my channel or a video using their product, whatever it is. And then basically just inquire about, affiliate or ambassador type things, what kind of programs they have, this and that. So that's kind of the avenue that I took. that really worked well for me, with various different companies. I think a lot of people think, and I'm not saying you guys are thinking this at all by any means, but a lot of people that I've talked to, they think that, oh, well, all these companies, man, they must be reaching out to you all the time. And I mean, yeah, we get tons and tons of emails and offers and stuff, but the people that really matter that we want to work with don't always, come like that. And so you can't be afraid to reach out to them and try to get yourself presented before the right people to try and make something happen. So I would urge you guys, honestly speaking, man, hit them up on their social media accounts, because those are going to be the people that are actually looking for content creators. So hit them up there and just see what happens. If it doesn't, cool, go hit up their competitor. Funny thing is, you guys have seen the Yoder video, with me cooking on the Yoder doing that brisket.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly speaking, okay, think about this for a minute. Since you've seen that video, when's the last time you've seen a Yoder video? Go ahead, I'll wait. You partake on my beverage. So, the reason being is because, again, I put that video out there. People don't know this. I bought 2 Yoders. Okay. I had the YS 480 first, and then bought the YS 640. I eventually ended up selling my 480 to a friend, kept the 640. That was before YouTube. I didn't even have a YouTube channel. Okay. So I think on the 640, I think it's a 2017 model. And again, I started my channel December 18. So I've had this cooker for a while, right? Mm-hmm. So I put this, start doing YouTube videos. I'm cooking on my Yoder, because you go back to my early videos, you probably saw the Yoder quite a bit. I got into conversation, and that's who I wanted to work with. I wanted to work with Yoder. Okay. Got into conversation with Yoder, and they were, gung-ho wanting to bring me on, but then, the stipulations and all of that kind of stuff that they were trying to throw in there, because again, people don't understand their worth when they're a young channel trying to grow. But you can get taken advantage of real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say, obviously, Brandon was just at the house the other day. You see, I still have my Yoder, and we still cook on it or whatever. I still love that cooker. I just don't use it in very many videos because of the way all of these negotiations. Let's just say that the negotiations we had was not beneficial to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was. Yeah. It would have been very beneficial to them, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, look, you ought to call Jealous Devil. See what they ask you to do.
Oh, I've already talked to them.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's just it's like you want me to do who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I understood, once I understood what my worth was, that's powerful, because now I know that I don't have to just accept whatever you tell me or whatever you want me to do. If I don't like what you're doing, I'll go to your competitor, and I'll work twice as hard to blow them up, just simply based on the way that you treated me. And so that's how with Yoder, like I said, I love the product. We still have it. I was really thinking about selling it. And then recently we decided, no. Mama said, no, I don't want to sell it. I want to keep it. And, so it's primarily going to be her cooker now. But, dude, I went from, and Yoder is a premium level pellet grill. And I started working with Louisiana Grills. I started working with Grilla Grills. Start working with these other companies that are not on that same level as a Yoder, or Lone Star Grills and that type of thing. But they work great.
So speaking of all those, Alton, I had the opportunity to go over to the Barbecue Boulevard, and it's quite a spectacle. Can you break down, what the Boulevard is all about and how it came to be?
Well, man, Brandon, you met my wife, Jean.
Yes.
Who is a man, she's a driving force behind what we do.
She's super cool too.
You know,
man.
she's
super
just,
cool lady.
she's so laid back. She's cool. She keeps me on point. Her background is in education, so she has like all the patience in the world, which I know I don't. And I take it for granted everybody knows how to like this or do that, and she's like, nah, babe, you kind of have to back up and slow down and, you know, teach people and show them and this and that and the other. So anyway, as we were, you know, trying to get together the whole YouTube and this and that and the other, and me working back there in the patio, she started buying, because I told her, so I kind of want have this bar and grill kind of vibe back there, you know. And so lo and behold, man, she started purchasing all these different little signs and, you know, pictures and whatever. Well, if you remember in my long intro where I'm playing the music and all that, I show this one scene where I have a sign that's up on my pergola and it says Barbecue Boulevard on it.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from. Because when she got that, I was like, okay, that's a sign. That is cool as hell. Call it Barbecue Boulevard. I'm like, cool. So put that up there on the pergola, and that became the name of the space. So then I started to do a play off of that, and I was like, okay, cool. Now, if you remember, and the pool wasn't there before. We just did the pool within the last year. But if you remember poolside, I have all the Louisiana grills.
Yes.
So that's known as Louisiana Grill Lane.
Okay.
So that's where all of that is, you know. And then I had before where I had them set up in the inside, I would call it Pella Grill Plaza. You know, so it was just these little, you know, things that I would do, make them like little street names or whatever for what I had going on. So as we started to accumulate different grills or whatever, it was just became this whole trying to put them in different places where they flowed together well and all of that. And it just started to build up what's known as Barbecue Boulevard now. You know, and so I've named it that, and it's an affectionate name that I give it, and people, you know, from all over the place have now gravitated to it, and they call it Barbecue Boulevard, and it's just become what it is, man.
So what's the do you know the fleet offhand? Do you have it memorized, everything you have out there?
I do. They're like my kids, man. So what we've got in the I call it the arsenal. So what we've got back there is we've got a pit barrel cooker. We've got double El Charros. Those are the rotisserie cookers, if you guys know those. So I have the El Charro back there. I have the Grilla Grills Kong, which is their Kamado. I have the Grilla Grills Silverback Alpha AT, which is on the all-terrain cart. I've got 2 Weber kettles. I've got a backline smoker 94-gallon offset pit. That was fully insulated. That's a bad pit right there too.
Yes,
so, but I've got that back there. I've got the Chud Mini Box Pro from Bradley over at Chud's Barbecue. Cool dude. If you guys haven't met him yet, but I've got one of those back there. I've got the Lone Star Grills pellet grill, the 36-inch model. I've got the Yoder YS 640. Got that back there. I've got the Louisiana Grills Black Label 1200, as well as the Founder Series Premier, as well as the Louisiana Grills 24-inch Kamado. So got those back there. I've got the Alfregoni Live Fire Ivor Pro, which is a live fire pit. That was the one if you guys follow me on Instagram, I actually just did Argentinian style beef ribs on that the other day.
Yeah,
so,
I saw that.
Yeah, I got that. Brandon, you saw the backline Fab multi-tool, which we did the tri-tip.
That's a bad son of a bitch, man.
That
thing is nice, man.
Yeah, I love that thing, man. You can hang all kinds of stuff over there and grill on it and have a good time. And it's a showstopper, you know, when people come over and they watch, you know, you see all this fire, and especially when you do the whole hang the pineapples and hit it with that dessert shake and then hit it with the bourbon and the flame comes up. Yeah,
that shit was crazy.
But we got that. We've also got a couple of M Grills C4s, which are the portable cookers that you can take around to places. Steak cookers, use it for the SCA events. So we've got a couple of those. I got the original C4 and then the C4S. I also have the Nomad grill. Got a whole list of stuff. Got the Nomad grills, the suitcase grill that you guys have been seeing around. Got one of those. And then I think the final cooker we have is I have a Discata. So I've got one of those big. I have that in the shed, so I didn't even pull it out the other day, so you didn't get to see that one. But yeah, I've got a Discata. That one of my boys named Lewis made one of those for me with a 24-inch disc on it. And so those are all the cookers, man. Got a whole fleet back there.
Your backyard probably looks like my front yard. People drive by and they're like, what the hell's going on over here? Mind your business. You about to barbecue or not?
Right. How many pounds of barbecue you want?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it can look like you can go to like your barbecues galore or barbecue outfitters and walk on their patio and see all their different grills. It can definitely look like that back there sometimes.
Wow.
And one of my things I've said is I want to have an event where I have a bunch of YouTubers come over and I have somebody cooking on every single grill.
Oh, yeah. Just sign me up.
I'm there.
Sign me up.
Absolutely, man. But I think that would be a fantastic time and just have everybody on a grill cooking something. Just having a good time. And of course, we'll have jugs all over the place. So,
oh, yeah. Gotta have jugs.
Hey, Alton, let me ask you this. So, between the different cookers that you have and the philosophy that you have as far as the content that you put out for the channel, and I heard you say before, looking at this as a LLC and as business, how do you balance that, and how do you balance the fun side of cooks? And do you have some cooks that you just say, hey, I'm just going to do this because this is what I want to do? My subscribers they'll watch or they won't, but what types of cooks on that nature do you go toward?
Well, let me start by saying this. When I'm in that grow mode, okay? When I'm in that grow mode, one of the things we had said, and this by no means was a goal that we started with. It was just, how things are when you make these goals and you start to achieve them. Well, now you have to set more goals, and keep it moving. And so once things really started to take off and we started to see the trajectory of the channel and how fast things were progressing, one of the things that we had decided was, I told my wife, I said, well, you know what? I'm really tired of cooking this, and this. So what I'm going to do is, in order to keep myself focused, I am working my butt off to try and get to 100K. Once I get to 100K, I'm going to start doing what I want to do. Because I felt like, okay, if I get to 100K, people are watching me. And maybe I can pull them over from pellet grills, Weber kettles to offset cooking or live fire cooking. So that was kind of, the avenue that I took. I've had other people tell me things like, successful channels too. They tell me things like for every 5 videos they'll do, 1 or 2 of them might be of what they want to do, and the other 3 will be what the channel dictates. So that you can, because it can get, you can all get that YouTube fatigue, where you're getting tired of making what feels like the same content.
I got it last month.
Yeah, man. I mean, how many different ways can I make a brisket?
Yeah.
That people love to see that.
They do, yeah.
And that's what we as content creators, we kind of lose focus of that, because we, again, at least for me, I felt like I was being stifled and I wasn't able to, stretch my legs, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're understanding that you're trying to grow the channel, you got to stay focused and give them what they want to see. Hopefully that answered what you were asking me.
Yeah, because I think we all kind of go through it is looking at those videos that pay the bills, and
I got to go buy another grill.
Absolutely.
And how many different ways can you do it? And I'll take a look at it and then figure out, okay, well then let's change the flavor profile on it. do something a little bit different, from that perspective. But no, what you said definitely makes sense.
Okay, good. And I heard you, Eddie, you saying, I think that was you saying something about buying another grill.
Because
No, go ahead.
Ripped is essentially Green Mountain, and that's where a ton of my subscriber base came from and follows. And I know since they're premiering this new wood chip smoker that it's going to be a hot commodity. And it's like, again, I wanted something from them, like, hey, send me a demo unit or something. But I'll just break down and just buy it and just cross my fingers.
I hear you.
I don't want to, but I know it's going to feed what I need. Like you said, giving the people what they want. They love that content. People love that grill. So and I loved it. I literally cooked on my pit in a commercial fashion, and it is not designed for that. I cooked it till it just started dirtying up my food, and nobody knew how to fix it. Not even them. Like, it couldn't take it anymore. And that was in 3 years.
Wow.
So do all of you guys, I think, Jeff, you're with Char Griller, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So but I'm sure they send you grills, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They better.
What I would really
suggest some grills,
man,
and
Eddie,
Brian,
what I would really urge you to do, because of the fact that you have that following and you're very familiar with their product, you've got content on their product, I would really strongly urge you to start hitting up their social media people.
Harness that energy.
Yeah, I mean, and I would tell you also, hit up Green Mountain, hit up Trigger, hit up Louisiana Grills, hit up anybody that's in that same, realm of that grill. Hit up their competitors. Seriously, because honestly, with a lot of these companies, sometimes they act like they're the only company in the game, and they're not.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I went through all of this with Yoder, dude, that was my baby that I was cooking on. And I had to stop. I'm not putting any more content because, dude, I put this out, and I know for a fact, I knew at least 10 people that bought the Yoder YS640 based on the content that I put out there. And these grills on a comp cart, you're talking at that time $2,500-$2,600. Now you're a good $3,000 getting these, and then you got to get the different accessories and all of this or whatever with it, so it pops that price. So again, I know that people bought, so it was very disappointing to not, feel like we were going to have that type of, respect back that, hey, I respect your product enough to do it, good, do it right in a video, at least give me some good conversation. Don't insult me,
or at least give me the damn pizza attachment or something. Like, Jesus, man.
Dude, and honestly, I just purchased that myself.
I'm about to break down and purchase it because I know they're not going to honor me nothing. They'd be like, "Ha, get it back in blood," and I will. But
dude, it's fun. They're fun. I'm not really a big pizza eater, but
the algorithm is showing that pizza's doing numbers.
Well, the thing is, the wife and my youngest daughter, we fired it up the other day. Saturday, as a matter of fact, after we finished Friday on the boulevard with the fellas. But that Saturday, we threw some pizzas in there, and it was pretty good. It came out really good. So I know it does a good job. I did a video on it, as a matter of fact, doing the chicken with potatoes in the cast iron skillet, using that thing, and that came out really good.
Oh man!
So that little oven attachment works really well. It does. I will give them that.
Yeah, that was a great cook, man, with the chicken and potatoes. And you're right, man. When you get those, when you get anything that has that stone on there, and comparing the char grill and that are two totally different things. But even with that, from a pizza perspective,
Yeah.
And just getting that out there and making it fresh at home, man, you get a totally different taste with it. It's great.
Absolutely.
Just know one thing: my accountant is not about to be happy for the month of December. But oh well.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it all like, you know what, man, it's a tax write-off.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
You keep it going, and all the stuff that I've got around here for video production and whatever, I just have to keep telling myself, man, it's you're investing in the business.
That's it. Every bit of it.
Every single bit of it. But I think you'll love that if you do end up getting it. I don't think you'll be disappointed in that wood-fired oven attachment at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I need to have this conversation. I hate to even say it. I would just go ahead and keep it to plain Jane. Having this conversation is the conversation I didn't want to have, but I needed to have because it's just like after that month of doing no content and looking at my analytics numbers, it's like, people still watch.
You know what? Try this one. I actually went almost 7-ish months without putting any content up.
Yeah, we missed you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. But yeah, we had a battle. We had a health crisis here we had to go through, and found out I don't know if all of y'all know this, but last year, October of last year, we got diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was shocked too. So but we found it really early, and the prognosis was great and everything worked out. So I tell all my brothers, man, look here, go get yourself checked out.
Yeah.
45 is now the age for getting your colonoscopy screening, your colon screening. Go get it done. With me, it was a blood test. I went to my doctor, regular whatever, and blood test showed, hey, your hemoglobin is low. Your iron is, I've been iron deficient since I was in high school. It's not that big. Well, nah, your numbers are really low. We went to go look at it, and yeah, my number was down at like 7.2 or something like that for my hemoglobin. And the bottom of that is supposed to be 14. Here I was at 7.2. It's like, we need to go get this checked out.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, this colonoscopy found what was going on, and we were able to have surgery December last year. Started chemotherapy January this year. We finished chemotherapy in June this year, and we're, cancer free.
Bless up.
Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go back for the follow-up colonoscopy next month, and then another screening in January. And hopefully, if that's all good,
it will be. Yes.
We'll get this port taken out and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a trying year, man. So when you say that, not having content put out there and you stall your growth, dude, it absolutely does stall your growth, but my stalled growth, I've been so fortunate, I can't really complain about it.
Right.
Because even when I went through all of that, I know this is going to sound crazy, but we were still getting 2,500, 3,000 subs a month.
Wow.
And that was just the content that was already out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some
So
good
you
content.
keep building, man. I appreciate that, man. But build your inventory now. Before you're seen, man. Work out all the kinks. Be able to look back at your early content and be like, what was I thinking? But you get all of that stuff out now, so that when it does happen for you, people have a lot of content that they can go chew through.
It's good advice. I like
it.
That.
Does it, and you can always go back and rebrand that content, by the way you change up titles and thumbnails and some of these things, and so it almost makes it look like a new video that people hadn't seen before.
Right.
So, and if you still have the actual content, You can chop it up and do some other videos with the content, you know. So
Yeah, I got
this,
about 200 videos, and I'm put somebody to work in. Hey, I need these in 60-second intervals, and just like, ha,
yeah, yeah.
like yeah, clock out in 8 hours.
Well, see, I hadn't been saving, you know, because I was on another live stream a couple of months ago, and somebody was asking about, well, what about all the content you have? Do you save all these videos and blah? I said, nah, I upload it to YouTube or whatever, and I moved this stuff over to another disk, and then that's about it. And I had one of my disk drives got corrupted. I lost everything on it, you know. And we got to talking, and one of my boys was like, "Dude, you need to get a NAS." A what? You know? He's like, "Oh, you need to get a NAS," and he started putting me on, and so now I have a 48 terabyte NAS here that I got all my stuff on, set up in a RAID 5, and it's got a redundant drive for 12 terabytes. So in order for me to lose content now, I have to lose 2 12 terabyte drives before I lose any of my content.
Yeah, I've been looking at those, and it's gonna sting, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
That
initial cost, man.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but
it's an investment. And I bought used drives too, just to bring down the cost. Or not used, but a refurbished.
It will be much easier to just pay Google for the rest of your life and write it off on the 1099 as a business expense, because that's exactly what I'm about to do. Like, no, I will dump it in the cloud and tell you to have a nice day.
Hey, yeah, whatever works, man.
I get that too, Eddie, but I need something tangible. I need to have my hands on it, because if they decide to flip a switch one day and just say,
absolutely,
you know, I would personally like to have more control.
Absolutely.
Good point.
So real quick, I want to talk about your brisket cooks. I'm a fan of brisket, and you know, here in South Carolina, we hear that Texas has the best brisket. So take me through your first experience cooking a brisket, because I haven't challenged that beast yet. I've binged your brisket videos. I'm working my way up to it, and I got a brisket story that I might share later. Charlie and Jeff, my brisket story.
Please share that one.
Yeah, which is probably why I'm kind of on the fence about actually going out there. But please take us through your first experience cooking the brisket. I mean, I will say that you made me feel comfortable. I mean, you broke everything down, even with the spritzing with water. Saying you don't have to have apple cider vinegar and apple juice, but just take us through your first experience.
So, when I started making brisket, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, dude, I came out making slamming brisket from the very beginning. The brisket was good. I ain't gonna lie. It was good. It was flavorful, but I did not have the marble effect that I have now. What do I mean by that? A lot of people don't understand that. When you cut into the point, you have those fibers, that are long, they're like, well, when you cross cut it, it should look like marbles. You know what I mean? I didn't have that at the beginning. Why? I wasn't cooking brisket long enough. I was making the same mistake that I think a lot of people that are inexperienced do, is they don't cook the brisket long enough. They think that, it's been on for X amount of time, I got to pull it off. I'm ruining it. I'm ruining it. Brisket is one of those, man, as long as you are controlling your temperatures and you're not like cooking this brisket at 500 degrees or something, brisket is very forgiving and really needs that long cook to break down all the connective tissue. So in the beginning, when I was making brisket, I've made my share of briskets that were tough but flavorful.
Okay.
But then I started to learn again, cook it longer, put the damn temperature probe down, stop. I don't care. So here's one thing I tell people when it comes to beef. You think about this for a second. When you cook a steak, if you cook a well-done steak, we probably aren't friends and wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place. But most people will be cooking that steak until they get to somewhere around between 125 and 132, 133 degrees internal, right? and they call it done. Let it rest and then ate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we already know, okay, beef is edible at those temperatures. We already know we're going to take a brisket way past that.
Right.
So why do we care what a finishing temperature is?
That's a good.
Who
Good
cares?
question. That's a real good point.
So I would much rather get my brisket to the feel I'm looking for. I want it to be tender. I want it to be nice and tender. I don't want it to be, oh, well, so-and-so said I have to pull my brisket at 198 degrees or 202 degrees for it to be. That's not true, because all briskets are different. You go buy a case of brisket, it has 5 briskets in that case. You can trim them all up the same. You can get them all trimmed to, pretty near the same, weight and shape and all of that. Pop them on the same grill, the same temperature, and you're going to have 5 briskets that may come off at 5 different times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just that way. And I think people have to understand. I get so many people that get mad because they're like, dude, what's the finishing temperature? I don't know. Well, you're not helping me. You gotta, dude. I'm trying to give you the best advice I possibly can, because if you want to be inconsistent, keep cooking to a number. If you want to make consistently good brisket, cook it to the tenderness you're looking for. Stop cooking to a number. Cook to now. I can tell you through my experience, of all the briskets I've made, I've had brisket be done at 198 degrees. And I've had brisket not get done to 217 or 216 degrees. That's a wide range.
Yeah, that is.
That is a wide range. So that's why when I listen to some of these big channels and they're telling people, oh, you got to cook to this temperature or it's going to take exactly this long. Nah, that's bull. And what's funny is when I go and I actually meet some of these guys and we talk, they know it's bull. But they're like, dude, people want that info, so I got to give them something.
Wow.
It's terrible.
So, exactly.
The crazy thing about that, Alton, I get a lot of comments because some of my videos, they are like what you're saying. Okay, here's a guidepost, but it'll be done when it's done. You'll know.
Absolutely.
And people are like, okay, but what temperature and for how long? I'm like, I can't tell you how long. I can't predict what that piece of meat is going to do. But with all that being said, the crazy part about it, and I promise I don't want to offend anyone or scare off any viewers, but
how dare you say something like that, sir? I'm appalled.
The truth about it is, and I don't know if y'all have the same experience, but in my experience, 90% of people aren't going to even attempt to recreate the recipe anyway.
No.
They just want to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it's better to tell people exactly how to achieve that result that I achieved, as opposed to coming up with some number that I pulled out the air.
Because at the end of the day, every chef, cook, and pitmaster is going to put their spin on it anyway.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like Alton was saying, how can I predict what that piece of meat is going to do? I can't.
I just give you what to look for.
That's all. And I think that's the best advice you can give, because with a steak, okay, that's something that's pretty consistent. But when you're talking about a long, slow cook and breaking down connective tissue and, rendering collagen and stuff, come on, man. I'm not a magician. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, at some point, you're gonna have to put some skin in the game. You're gonna take a chance on getting this right.
Yep.
Everything can't be a handhold. At some point, you have to get out there and take the leap. That's
the biggest part right there. Is people want to tell you every little aspect. And they want you to be accurate with what you tell them, because you do have a population of people out there that are literal. They take what you say literally, and
you have more that are growing into that same faction.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. But and what I kind of tell people, if they really have to have some sort of number, what I tell them is, Smoke that brisket until it gets to about 199, 200. At that point, start checking for tenderness.
That's good.
If you stab that brisket at 200 degrees with a meat probe, and you'll notice a lot of times I don't even have the numbers facing me because I don't care. Sometimes I don't even use a meat probe. I might just use a toothpick, but I'll
Old school. Yeah.
stick it. Yeah. I'll stick it. If I still feel a little resistance, it's not quite there yet. Let it keep going about another 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Come back and check it. Still a little bit. If it feels like it's getting closer, maybe I'll tighten that time down. Maybe I'll give it 20 minutes. At some point you have to kind of employ your common sense. And I don't mean to say that to insult anybody, but if you're cooking, most people can cook in the kitchen.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They get in the kitchen to cook and they can adapt it. It ain't no different outside. The only difference is you playing with fire. You got a fire aspect and you're having to control. In a kitchen, you can turn your knob to a certain degree and it's going to be there. Well, out here, you're having to adjust your airflow and this and the other to get those same temperatures, but the actual cooking process, it's not any different.
Yeah.
So that's really all it is.
But I have had to rescue people from their stoves before and reach over and turn the knob down. Sometimes you have to remind people,
Hey, over there cooking on 5,000.
Yeah, you can adjust this. You're not locked into this temperature.
Just turn that down for me, please. You're scared, please.
So I think some people just get so nervous.
They do.
And again, I'm kind of like you. I don't. I have a hard time recognizing that people don't know what I know and don't understand what comes easily to me, because I don't consider myself to be a super smart person, but I just think there's some things that are just common knowledge. And in my years on this planet, I'm slowly learning that it is not common knowledge. So
yeah.
But like Eddie was saying too, I think more and more people are getting to the point where they want every fact, figure, situation spelled out, handed to them on a silver platter.
Absolutely.
And
so they can be confused and then get in your comments and be like, "Well, I tried."
It's all your fault. All your fault. Yeah,
you got to blame somebody.
Yeah,
not yourself.
I've had my share of those too. I get a lot of success stories of people that have tried it and dude, it came out fantastic. But you do have that population of people that, they buck the system and they make it too hard. Yeah, barbecue, to me, barbecue can be difficult depending on the cooker you're using, the style of cooker you're using, whatever. Mm-hmm. But in the general sense, barbecue is as hard as you make it.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you understand how to, so there was a show that was on Netflix. And I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but they had all these contestants come in and they threw them all kinds of curveballs and cook on this and cook on that and cook this meat and cook that vegetable and whatever it was. And one of the guys that was on there, I think y'all know Rashid Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
He was on there and he said it best. He's like, dude, I've never cooked on. I think it was a plancha or whatever it was that they were cooking on in this episode. He's like, I've never cooked on this before, but I know how to manage fire.
Right.
If I can manage fire, then I can make this cook work.
That's right.
And that, at the end of the day, is what we're all doing. We're managing the fire. Don't be afraid of the fire. Fire is your friend in cooking.
But I believe that has to be a TED Talk presented a certain type of way to make people understand that, hey, fire is kind of your friend, but you just still have to be careful.
You got to respect it.
You got to respect it because most people still have the freak out factor
get burned.
And they still believe in using lighter fluid. It's just like, hey, man, I'm not here to judge, but I think you're doing that the wrong way. And it's going to give you some results that you're not going to like.
Well, no, I saw Myron Mixon using Kingsford lighter fluid and Yeah, but Myron's getting a paycheck
I
for
was gonna
that.
say,
So
paying him to do that, right?
I bet you he ain't doing that at home.
He said, just let it burn off for 30 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Just let burn for 30. But I think that's a very good talking point that I think we all should, at some point should do a 30 or 60-second short to kind of just open the door up to people who do not currently grill and want to learn how to grill and get them to understanding that, hey, fire management is one of the keys, or temperature management is just one of the keys that you will forever have to understand if you're going to do this, and to not be intimidated by it, but to welcome it and have fun.
Oh, absolutely, man. And it doesn't matter what cooker you're cooking on. You know, I get people all the time, oh, you got this big fancy, whatever. Dude, did you not see my Weber kettle? That Weber kettle, it cost me $79. And I did brisket on it.
It's the pitmaster,
Or
man.
ribs on it. It's just if you understand how to control it, you can do what you want. You know, can you take a brisket and put it in your oven and make a tender brisket in the oven? Well, yeah. Well, why can't you do that on a Weber kettle then?
That's
you know, you're maintaining temperature, maintaining fire. You know, put that brisket in there and cook it. This really the same thing. It's just going to be more flavorful because you got the whole fire and smoke element added to it. But at the end of the day, you're controlling those temperatures and you're doing the same type of cook you'd be doing in your kitchen.
So, Alton, I'm glad you brought up the brisket again, because I have a selfish reason to hear this story that T wants to tell.
I want to hear that too.
All right, so I was at like a little get together. It was like a men's get together, and I was in my early 20s, and all I knew is that I like brisket. Never knew how it was prepared or anything like that. So we're all sitting around talking, and you know, they're over on the grill, and you know, I look over and I see him, you know, flipping, and I'm like, okay, I guess we having steaks, you know. So, you know, we sitting talking, and then, you know, after a few minutes, you know, it said that the brisket's ready, and I'm like, okay, where's the brisket? And I'm like, oh, what I thought was steaks are the brisket, and so I'm biting into this thing, and of course, it's tough. It's flavorful, but it's very, 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 very tough.
Chewing into that young leather strap.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and so after that, I was like, how did they mess up this? I'm like, I had brisket plenty of times, and it never tastes like this. And that's when I started researching. I was like, you're supposed to slow cook it. So from that experience, from my early 20s, it's just like me with brisket. I want to make a brisket. And talking to you tonight really is just boosting my confidence. I'm not worried so much about it drying out, but I guess just from that experience, you know, from it being tough, I mean, you know,
nobody wants to be that guy,
right?
But that's how you learn.
Jeff brought up a good point. We talked about it before. He was like, well, maybe they thought slicing it up would make it cook faster. You wouldn't have to do it as long because it was sliced up, but nah.
In theory, no.
Well, you know what? So here's the thing also, and this is taking it a different direction, but you can actually do brisket over coals. You know, doing pit barbecue. I mean, that's how they did it back in the day. You know, they didn't cook in offsets. They cooked directly over coals. A lot of the old school restaurants that are around today still cook like that.
But did they do it in 2 hours though?
No.
This was like 20 minutes.
So 20
God. And when I say they cooked it like steak, they cooked it like steak for real.
Yeah, you ain't cooking a whole brisket like that. You know, no. But you can do it, you know, over coals like that, and you know, get that pit barbecue flavor in it. But it's still going to take you some time. It'll cook a little faster than you would in the offset, but it's still going to take you some time.
Oh yeah, I love to do a hot and fast brisket. I did one over the weekend at the competition I was in.
So there's a lot of talk on YouTube I see about resting the brisket and how you rest it in a cooler, in a warmer, like a caterer or a restaurant, and to follow up with that story, the importance of letting your barbecue rest. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So, so there's a lot of misconceptions out there on rest, and people thinking that, oh, you've got to, pull it off the pit. You got it wrapped up in foil or butcher paper or whatever it is. And then you got to pop it in a cooler and, cover it with towels and all. If you want a mushy brisket that's going to fall apart, do that. Okay. Don't do that. No. What you do is you when you've got the doneness that you're looking for, you got the tenderness that you want, that brisket's ready. If you happen to check your temperature at that point, it's going to be 200 and something, between 200 and 212, probably somewhere in there.
All right.
If you were to pull that brisket directly off the pit at that particular time and put it in a cooler, wrapped up and whatever, all you're doing is insulating. I think all of us understand that when you cook meat, when you pull it off the pit, it's going to continue to rise. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That carryover is going to continue to rise a little bit. So what's going to happen when you take that brisket, now you've got it insulated, you got it wrapped up in foil or butcher paper, and then you got it wrapped up in a towel, and you put it in a cooler. You know what I mean? It's never getting that chance to come back down in temperature. So basically, that brisket may have come off at 204, but by the time it hits its peak, it's probably 220, 225. And so that brisket's going to get mushy and basically fall apart because, again,
now you got shredded beef.
Exactly. I mean, you can always recover it. That's a whole nother subject. But
yeah, drop it on some ice.
Yeah, you're just trying to get to break down that connective tissue. Now you just went beyond that. So what we do is when we hit the tenderness that we're looking for, pull that brisket off the pit. You leave it at ambient temperature and let it rest down. If you've got it wrapped up, you crack that wrapping open so it can vent, and you let that temperature come down. Now, we all know, our safety zone, 40, 140. Okay. You want that meat to be above 140 degrees, or you want it to be below 40 degrees. Well, we're not trying to refrigerate it, so we definitely want to keep it above 140. So what we do, or what I do, is I let that brisket come down in temperature, which basically stops the cooking process, but gets down to a safe temperature zone about 150 degrees. Once I hit 150 degrees, that brisket goes in my oven. Whether it be my catering oven or whether it's my actual oven at home. My oven happens to go down to, I can go as low as 100 degrees, but I set it on 145 and I let that brisket rest. Now, my typical thing of how I do, just because people think, I'm going to make a brisket. We'll have my boys over on Saturday night, so I'm going to put a brisket on Saturday morning and we're going to eat brisket Saturday night. Nope, that's not how I do mine. Mm-mm. Mine goes on the day before. Okay, so if I'm going to have if like Brandon and the guys came over on Friday, I would have cooked that brisket Thursday. I would have had that brisket coming off the pit Thursday night, sometime around, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. That brisket would come off. It would rest down for an hour, hour and a half, however long it takes me to get down in temperature where I want it. Then it goes in that oven, and it's going to stay there until we're ready to pull it out and cut it. Now, I've done brisket, rests that have been, as short as 4 hours, been as long as 16, 17 hours. As long as you keep it, and I'll give you this tip because a lot of people don't understand this too. It's what a lot of the barbecue restaurants do.
Yeah.
You eating brisket today, that's the brisket they cooked yesterday.
That's right.
Yep.
You come to a restaurant today, you see the pit going, they're probably cooking briskets they're going to be serving tomorrow.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. So stop selling. Well, I got to have my brisket fresh. Dude, I guarantee you, I know restaurants that cook briskets and they'll cook extra briskets, okay? Mm-hmm. And get them to the point where, how everybody has their different methods, but you get to where you, somewhere around what's called the stall.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. I know people that'll cook, say, 25 briskets. They'll take 5 briskets, cook them up to that point, wrap them, and throw them in their cooler, in their meat cooler. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they'll do that for 5 or 6 days, collecting between 20 and 30 briskets. Why? Because come Monday, which is typically an off day, or even Monday, Tuesday could be off days. Now they can come in the night before that they're going to open up, and they can take all these briskets out of their cooler that's already been pre-cooked, pop them on the pit, finish them off for tomorrow's lunch service. Tomorrow, they'll start the whole gig again for the next week. So don't tell me, oh, I got to have for, because you don't know.
No.
You know, or one of my favorite ones is, oh man, I was with you until you put mustard on that brisket. Okay,
I'll talk about that mustard now.
like tons of restaurants use mustard and pickle juice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they use that as a slather. They pop that on that brisket. They pop it on their ribs. You know, whatever. You don't taste it.
No.
That's right.
You know, and if you say you taste it, I'm gonna tell you you're lying. You can't taste it.
And I'm gonna agree with you.
You know, it's a certain amount of heat for a certain duration of time that thing breaks down so much that there's nothing left.
Man, between
I
all that
can't
smoke,
taste it.
all that rub, if your palate is that delicate that you can taste some mustard in there, you shouldn't be sitting here critiquing barbecue.
No, sir.
You should be in someone's factory with your tongue insured by Lloyd's of London. You should be making some money.
For real.
Absolutely. But the rest process, as you asked about on brisket, is vital. It's the same concept as like when you have a steak. You cook that steak, you pull that steak off, you let it rest, 10 minutes, whatever it is. It makes it a much more juicy steak, much more, a pleasurable experience. Brisket's no different. It's going to reabsorb those juices back into the right places. And it's just going to give you a better mouthfeel when you go to eat that brisket later. And brisket loves a long rest.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep it above 140, trust me, you can keep that brisket, a whole another day if you need to.
So is it logical to say that brisket is kind of like collard greens? It's better the next day.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be texture. Flavor wise, I don't think it really changes much because your flavor's set.
Right.
But texture wise, tenderness wise, mouthfeel, all of that is the things that you're going to get with that rest.
So Alton, I've been to quite a few barbecue restaurants here in Austin, and all of those things you're telling me, all of the people who would actually tell me anything, they all said the exact same thing. But the point I'm getting at is, again, this is Black Smoke Barbecue, and we're always highlighting Black Pit Masters. At these restaurants all through Austin, I don't see a whole lot of people who look like us. And I'm new here to the area. I've only been here about 4.5 years, but I know the history of barbecue. What's your opinion on the state of Black pitmasters here in this area?
In this area, it's non-existent.
Wow.
It's really not, because the thing is this is so Central Texas was influenced a lot, by the German influence. And you go right down the road, you got Louis Mueller, barbecue that's been here forever today, and was the pinnacle of Central Texas barbecue for a while. You go bring in Lockhart, well, then you got Kreitz Market down there, and Smitty's Market and Black's and all of these places that are all, from this realm of barbecue. And so fast forward to, the new school, you got Aaron Franklin that pops on the scene, who basically takes everything that everybody here has been doing forever and a day, but can package it well, can present it well, and can get, eyes on it. And now it becomes the Aaron Franklin way of doing barbecue, which then births this whole new age of barbecue restaurants, because you got all these young pitmasters coming up now that, this is the way that they cook. Well, now they want to play around with stuff, and they reinvent the wheel, so to speak. You know, somebody asked me the other day, was I going to do a Derby style brisket? You know, and I think you remember that, Brandon. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is a Derby style? What are you talking about, Derby style brisket? Oh, that's where you use salt, pepper, and Lowry's.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah, they just
You know?
discovered Lowry's.
Yeah.
All that.
I'm like, okay, no knock to Derby or Goldie's, because I know they make phenomenal barbecue, but that's nothing new. You know, I mean, hell, my mom and dad did that back when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or the boat method,
Oh, the foil boat.
the foil boat method. You know, oh well, the foil boat method. About dude, cop cookers been doing that forever. You know, but because somebody else does it and they actually have the eyes on them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it becomes this new thing. I ain't mad at you, dude. If that's what's gonna bring people to our world of barbecue, then cool, go for it. You know, but I'm not gonna jump on it and say it's this style or it's that style, because there are so many. That's like, you know, somebody coming and saying, "Oh well, LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time." Okay, hold up, back up. You don't know about Dr. J or Wilt Chamberlain, you know, and all these Oscar Roberts. I mean, there's so many other people that did it before him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different in this world of barbecue. There's so many people that have been doing these things before these guys that you speak of. You know, and so to me, it's kind of disrespectful to all of them because, dude, they've been doing that forever. But again, if this person is getting the eyes on the world of barbecue and it's bringing more people to our world, then cool. You know, but understand where it came from, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alton, where can we find you at? Where you want to give us your socials or give everybody your socials?
Yeah, man, I'm all over the place, man. You find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. I do have Twitter. Not sure how long I'm gonna keep Twitter.
Another topic.
Another topic, exactly. I don't use it very much, but I do have Twitter. Same with TikTok. I haven't really used TikTok much. But and of course YouTube. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of it again is the Dogfather's Barbecue, DAWGFATHAS BBQ, not ER, not DOGFAT. It's DAWG. We didn't even get into how all that came up either.
I mean, you could tell us.
So, man, back in the previous working career, I was in semiconductors and worked for a company, for a while, and I was a maintenance supervisor at the time. Had a crew of technicians that worked for me, or I'm gonna say worked with me, and so we all worked together, and we affectionately called ourselves the Dog Pound. Okay, and that's where that kind of came from. And so we all had these dog names. And mine was the Dog Father because I was the supervisor. And so that's where it came from. And so what's funny is, they're running around calling me Dog Father, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then Snoop Dogg comes out with this album, and it's the Dog Father.
Mm-hmm.
And so people think, oh, dude, you got your name from Snoop. I'm like, well, nah, but okay, whatever. But no, that's actually where it came from. Was from that. And then where you get the Godfather's feel on it is because when I started the LLC, I did all these different plates and platters that were named after the Godfather. So it would be like the Corleone plate or, whatever. And so it was that whole play off the Godfather. Then I incorporated the marionette strings into the Dog Father. And that's where it came from.
I like that.
That's a cool story.
So yeah, so we got that name and we just stuck with it and rolled with it, And then as you guys were asking me about how I, got into YouTube and how we got it to get out there and grow, and I did have these same types of conversations with big channel name people, and I had people telling me, "Dude, your name sucks. You need to change the name.
Wow.
Get rid of the logo." All of these different things because it's too difficult. People aren't going to find you. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate it. I'm gonna try all these other things first, and if that doesn't work, then maybe I'll look at that. So I say that to say just pick and choose the advice that you get. Not all the advice is going to be the home run. Pick and choose what works for you. Play around with it. Try some things. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, try some other things. Find what works for you. Don't get lost trying to find some identity that you're not. Just find what works for you and just stick with it. And you guys asked me earlier about, being able to talk and whatever. Forget about the camera. Okay? Forget about the camera. I'm talking to y'all just like if we were sitting here together all having a drink.
Oh yeah, we
just chilling. Yeah. We just gonna hang out. We gonna talk. We gonna, talk about this, talk about that. We gonna crack jokes. I mean, Brandon, dog, hey, you were here. Mm-hmm. We laughed our butts off, man. We had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
And it was no different when the camera came on. Everybody is still the same, and that's the biggest advice I tell the people is forget about the camera. Just forget about be you. If you, tell you what, today people gonna see right through that. That ain't you.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, people they don't want you to be fake. They want you to be you, and they want to be able to connect with you. So give the people who you really are.
I appreciate you being you and you giving everything you got to the camera, the cooks that you did. I got to binge watch all your stuff again, just to remind myself, because I got another brisket cook coming up, so I got a little refresher. It's always good. It's always good, and it's been an honor having you on, having great conversation about barbecue and life in general, content creation and all of that. So hopefully we can get you back on the show and talk some more about what's going on in the future with you, whatnot. So you drop some knowledge on us. I would like people to go and watch Alton's videos on his socials, YouTube, and share, subscribe, and just tell everybody that, man, he's on point, man. He's on point. So thank you for coming on the pod. Absolutely. Everybody be blessed out there. And until next time, this is Black Smoke Barbecue Podcast. We out.